June 26, 2003. LeBron is drafted with the #1 pick. This adds to his legacy. April 20th, 2004. LeBron wins Rookie of the Year. This adds to his legacy. April 12th, 2004. LeBron misses the playoffs. This hurts his legacy. February 20th, 2005. LeBron makes his first All-Star team. This adds to his legacy. April 20th, 2005. LeBron finishes the season averaging 21 major 2007. This hurts LeBron finishes this adds to his legacy. LeBron is bounced out 2007. LeBron hurts the finals. This adds to his legacy. Swept out 2008. This hurts LeBron becomes the highest all-time Cavaliers. LeBron finishes adds to his legacy. LeBron is bounced out 2009. This hurts LeBron's legacy. 2009. This adds to his legacy in the finals and games. LeBron back 2018. LeBron becomes the all-time leading scorer. This adds to his legacy. May 22nd, 2023. LeBron is swept out the conference finals. How does this affect his legacy? Every single one of these moments, good or bad, helped shape and mold LeBron's legacy. Every time he was the best player on a finals-bound team, every time he was the worst player in said finals, anytime he dragged a lackluster team to the promised land, every single moment defined LeBron's greatness, and a new moment has been added to the collection. At age 39, LeBron was the second best player on a conference finals team, yet he got swept for the third time in his career. This moment can be used to further cement his legacy in greatness or tear him down even further than some already have him. Today, I'm gonna lay out both sides of the argument and tell you how it should really affect his legacy. This sweep brings into question LeBron's legacy, the two sides of his judgment. The first side, his greatness. A lot of his greatness is based on longevity. When you look at all the greats, Jordan, Kobe, Kareem, Magic, while they had extensive careers, LeBron surpassed them for the same amount of time. Michael Jordan played 13 years, Magic played 13 years, Bird played 13 years, and for the players who have played a similar amount of time to LeBron, the Kobes, Kareems and Shaqs of the world, they did not maintain the level of play LeBron has over the same amount of time. He's been arguably the best player in the league for 15 years, displaying a level of dominance and excellence we have seen in only few others. We can trace it all the way back to his third season, where he finished second in MVP voting. Only a few players have finished that high that quickly, but for LeBron, this trend would stay up for another 15 years. 15 years straight, finishing top 5 in MVP voting. His raw talent, paired with his work ethic, along with his unmatched IQ, formed an all-time monster. We saw this monster carry lackluster teams to the NBA Finals in his second playoff run, carry lackluster teams to 66 wins, and was putting these lackluster teams on his back while winning back-to-back MVPs. The young star blossomed quickly and beautifully. Any setback he faced never knocked him down, but only made him stronger. Like in 2006 when he lost to Detroit, the next year he came back and vanquished them. Or in 2009 when he couldn't get to the rim against Orlando, all his shooting splits went up the next season. He was doing everything for that team. But taking lackluster teams to the promised land wasn't something he could do forever, or something he wanted to do forever. So he did what was best for his legacy and moved to South Beach, not only securing 2 more MVPs, but finally getting 2 championships, the thing he had prayed for in Cleveland. And to accomplish this, he had to become the best version of himself, a LeBron that arguably hasn't been replicated since. 2013 LeBron. He was an elite defender who should have won Defensive Player of the Year, a great floor spacer shooting 40% from deep and stretching out within the mid-range, an elite slasher punching on everyone, one of the best playmakers in the NBA's entire history, and simply the best player we have ever seen. In 2011, we saw a team that couldn't win without LeBron, so he took that loss, and for the foreseeable future, LeBron stepped into his light and took over the entire NBA. We'd only see a LeBron this good one more time. He didn't bring it out to win his 3rd championship when he had to beat the greatest regular season team ever and come back from a 3-1 deficit, in which he succeeded by the way, in turn cementing his goathood for a lot of people, but only when the odds looked even worse for him. The second greatest player in the world had joined the greatest regular season team ever to form one of, if not the greatest team ever. And after Kyrie and LeBron had already lost to this behemoth of a team, LeBron's second best player left to be his own man. Now remember, LeBron is 33 years old, in year 14. This fuckery wasn't supposed to go on much longer, but it kept going. And not only did it keep going, he only got better. As in 2018, he had his entire roster change in the middle of the season and were all replaced with glorified role players. Yet he took them to the NBA Finals in a masterclass of basketball we may never see again. This was the best version of LeBron James to a lot of people for various reasons. The bag we all thought he didn't have spawned into existence during this stretch. The clutch gene we thought he never had inched him to the finals time and time again. And the version of LeBron we all thought was a distant memory had resurfaced into something spectacular. This must have taken a lot out of him, as the next season, he'd suffered the first major injury of his career. The first time he played under 60 games, and the first time he missed the playoffs in over a decade. He managed to get one more serious season out, with the aid of a global shutdown, where he'd finished the season second in MVP voting, win a championship, and Finals MVP. But this was clearly the trumpets of LeBron's career. His longevity and excellence are the crux of his legacy. In a five-man sport, LeBron was able to single-handedly take over the court on many occasions, always being the determining factor between a win and a loss. Even in this current series, needing a 40-year-old man to step up as the only way to succeed while having Anthony Davis on your team speaks volumes to the image of LeBron. It's almost mythical the things expected of him, but while he's been the determining factor between winning and losing for 15 years, there's still a reason he lost as much as he did. He couldn't determine games. The negatives of LeBron's legacy are a matter of perspective. As for as many teams as he dragged to the finals, he only won 4 out of 10 of them. You could call him a perennial loser, or for all his longevity, you could say it's been wasted. Being the best player in the league for 15 years, he only won 4 times. Literally, most of the all-time greats have more rings than him, and when you delve deeper into his winnings, they all have stains on them. We can give 2007 some kind of excuse. He was young, it was his first time in the finals, it was his second time in the playoffs, etc, etc. But no one, and I mean no one, has had a monumental collapse like in 2011 with LeBron, let alone any all-time great. This is a team he handpicked, with a previous champion and an all-time coach. A team where the players accepted their roles behind LeBron to support him in winning. He collected superstars from around the league like Thanos collected the stones, all to ultimately fail because of his appalling play. And while he bounced back in 2013 and 2012 for being the best player in the world, he promised not 7, not 8, not 9, yet only got 2. After Miami, I should cut him some slack. I mean, he played against the greatest team ever, while a lot of legends played for the greatest teams ever. However, all you can do is play the person in front of you. We don't praise the Jazz for losing in 98, we don't praise the Nets for losing in 02, but we praise LeBron for going 3 out of 4 on matchups against Curry. We call him the GOAT because of that? That doesn't sound right. The next time he would get a championship was when Curry wasn't even in the playoffs, and this was on his 3rd team. He could never win with a single unit. It's not like he hasn't had teams that didn't try. The Cavs were horrible for a lot of the time, but they were slowly and surely getting there. I mean, they won 66 games. The Heat, even with Wade being worse and Bosh being forced out, could have built a competitive unit. And currently, he traded away the entire Lakers' young core to play with AD. LeBron has consistently cherry-picked every player, teammate, coach, and organization on his way to winning his championships, and disappeared when it didn't go his way. He left in 2010 when the Cavaliers lost in the second round with his best team yet. He left Miami when Bosh and Wade started regressing. He left even after Kyrie left, but every other legend secured their legacy by sticking it out through whatever. Kobe, Russell, Tim, Curry, Bird, Magic, and for the players who didn't, like MJ and Kareem, at bare minimum had valid reasons. Kareem jumped ship to literally escape discrimination, then stayed with the next team for the remainder of his career. And Michael Jordan was over. He had retired and then came back for 2 years at 38 years old, only to average 21, 4, and 6 on bad efficiency, just to sell Hornets tickets. So his legacy couldn't have been affected. Meanwhile, LeBron was simply losing to better teams. He lost to the Celtics, the Spurs, the Mavs, and now to the Warriors. The only time he was able to beat the Warriors on even ground was this year. And that brings us full circle. How does this playoff run affect his legacy? It's strange to say that in this series, LeBron wasn't a top 3 player on the court. There's rarely been a game in his career where he wasn't a top 3 player on the court. But Nikola Jokic, Anthony Davis, and Jamal Murray consistently stood above him. As this series, Jamal Murray averaged 33, 6, and 5 on 50, 40, 95, as well as 65% true shooting. This was more efficient than the best player on the planet, Nikola Jokic, who averaged 28, 15, and 12 on 60%, despite being guarded by the 3rd best player and all-time great defender, Anthony Davis, who subsequently dropped 27 and 14 with 3 blocks and a steal. And while it's sad to say that LeBron is simply falling behind these players, coming into this series, throughout the regular season, LeBron had already set a precedent for not being able to put the team on his back like he used to. If this was 2017, 2018, or even 2019, they never would have started out 2-10, regardless of the roster. However, as it does with all things, Father Time has finally caught up to LeBron. He has finally regressed, although a small sliver of us believed or prayed they could bring out playoff Bron when the time came, as he's done time and time again. Yet in every series this year, he showed that version of him is long gone. In the Grizzlies series, he shot abysmally from 3, and all his numbers dropped. And though his numbers did slightly improve, the same applied for the Warriors series. The main factor of all these is the play of Anthony Davis. LeBron has been trying to give the keys to AD, and this seems like the first year he's really taken into his role. But in the playoffs, his offensive consistency was extremely concerning. Having to rely on a 39-year-old LeBron can't be the game plan. But in the Nuggets series, offensively, they were forced to. In the 4-game series, AD had 2 games where he dropped the offensive load, Game 2 and a closeout Game 4. Uncoincidentally, I presume, these were the games that LeBron stepped up as much as he could. In Game 2, he restricted his shots enough to have a semi-efficient 22, but he stepped up in his playmaking, only being 1 rebound away from a triple-double. This got his team involved, so players like Reeves and Hachimura got the opportunity to step up, which they capitalized on, as well as Game 4 where he dropped 40 points on 60% shooting and finally started hitting his threes. This was also the game they had the best chance of winning, but AD's inconsistencies completely killed their chances. This team couldn't win with AD playing that poorly. This team can't win being LeBron's team, and LeBron seems comfortable with this fact. The entire playoffs, he played a style that limited him being the main guy and involved his team more, specifically trying to get AD involved in the post and in the pick and roll. But AD couldn't consistently pull them to victory as he needed to. There was even a time where people believed on even number games AD would play poorly, and he proved them right. Now, as a top 15 player, you can't say that LeBron shouldn't have to help, but as a 39-year-old man, he should be able to reduce his role. Regardless though, he was a driving factor to them going as far as they did. He didn't impact the game like he used to, but through his playmaking and driving presence, he created opportunities to allow his team to shine and make it to the conference finals as a 7th seed, as a play-in team. That's why players like Austin Reeves could take a bigger role and Hachimura could get consistent minutes, despite both being rotation players at best in this league. If LeBron's legacy is based on longevity and quality of play, being the 4th best player on the court in a playoff game in year 20 should only be seen as a testament to his greatness. On top of that, he could have easily forced himself to try to be the 2nd best player on the court. However, he understood where he's at in his career and gave players like Hachimura, Reeves and Lonnie Walker IV the chance to seriously contribute to the team, which in turn got them as far as they did. LeBron did hurt them shooting-wise, shooting an all-time low on the 2nd highest attempts from beyond the arc, so his impact can't be overstated when we look back at this. But overall, this playoff run and this playoff series can and should only add to LeBron's legacy. As though he did add another loss in his column, what he did this year is something we haven't ever seen, and should only be looked at as proof to his impact, even as a 40-year-old. Something that should be impossible for a 40-year-old to do. But doing the impossible is what LeBron does. If he won, he probably would have got the conference finals MVP. And whether you think this would be a pity MVP like Embiid, we will never know. But if you want to see who the true pity MVP is, click this video here. If you like the video, like the video. If you don't, don't. Subscribe if you want, and I'm done. Okay, bye.